Hi everyone, and welcome back to our new Breakpoint series. My name is Michelle Sandford and I am the Developer Engagement Lead for Australia and New Zealand. If you are new to New Breakpoint, then welcome and thank you for joining us. New Breakpoint is a show that is for developers, made by developers. The show goes out on the second Thursday of every month and you can register online. If you join us on the broadcast day, you'll be able to ask questions to me and the guest. If you aren't able to join us on the day, do not worry. You will be able to watch the content on demand as long as you register. We try to bring you the most exciting guests and talk about the most relevant topics. And today, I am really excited to bring you a community episode. I am going to be talking to the founder of She Codes, Kate Kirwin, who started that organisation when she was 21 years of age, and she has brought more than 6,500 women into the tech community through teaching them to code. I also have with me Amy Kapernick, who is she has just run the largest developer conference in the country with 1,400 developers, which is DDD Perth. And when I say she ran it, she was on the organising committee and she was in charge of the speakers. Amy also has been a YOW evangelist, which is another great series of conferences coming up, and she is an international keynote speaker that speaks around the world at other conferences such as NDC. Welcome, Kate and Amy.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting to be here, Michelle.
Okay, well, let us get right into it. Kate, I did say in my intro that you started this community of women when you were 21 years of age. Do you want to tell us a little bit of that story?
Yeah, so I don't have a background in tech. My background's in events. And I work for a co-working space called Space Cubed in Perth. And I just got really curious. So I really wanted to know what the entrepreneurs and innovators in our space were doing, and having lots of conversations about the apps they're building and all of the things that's happening in technology. And I got really curious, went along to all of the meetups as an event organizer, and just with a bit of curiosity along the way as well, and found that the communities that existed 9 years ago weren't very beginner friendly, they weren't very female friendly, so I ended up creating my own community. We were Perth Web Girls at the time, and we started off running one-day workshops, and the demand's just been really crazy over the last couple of years. So started a one-day workshop, grew to, we now have about 120 people per event at that one-day workshops, but our wait list at the biggest was 500 people on a wait list for a 100-person event, and sells out every time. And we now run those workshops across Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, and in regional areas, Melbourne, and in regional areas like Geraldton, Bunbury, Port Hedland, Karratha, Newman, all over the state in Western Australia, and some stuff in regional Queensland as well. Because I keep being told if women wanted to be in tech, they would. It's women's fault, but it's not. There's like crazy demand for women to want to be in tech. It's access, and it's giving them the confidence and the practical skills to get there.
Community is more than just teaching them to code. It's like what else goes on there that gives them that reassurance and that confidence?
So it's a lot about, so for the one-day workshop series, I call it rebranding tech. So we go out of our way to be like glittery and sparkly and purple and fun. And we have a Beyonce dance break in the afternoon, and we have cupcakes, and it's not a bunch of guys sitting in a basement with lines of code washing over their face from projector while they're writing in ones and zeros. Like I know a lot of developers, and I don't think I know anyone who codes like that. That feels wildly impractical. But for a lot of people, that's what they think. They think that that's what the media tells us. That's what all these stereotypes are. That's what they think when they think tech. So it's shifting that rebrand. And another thing that I was told by one of my girls, Tracy, she did our 6-month coding program. We did an interview with her last year, And she was told by a very well-meaning science professor when she was in high school that she was too fun to be in tech, which I don't even know what that means. Like, how can you be too fun to do a job? She is pretty fun. But yeah, so she went down a business route because she was told she was too fun. So it's like breaking down all of that, getting rid of all of those, like, you're not smart enough, you're not cool enough, you're not nerdy enough, you're not male enough, getting rid of all of those stereotypes. And then it's a lot about confidence building as well. So in our 6-month program, we do stand up every week. We sharing like that we all have imposter syndrome, and that's like totally normal. It's not okay, but it's normal. And sharing some of those lessons of, having a supportive community around you that's really building up you as a whole person, not just providing technical skills. Because there is a lot of this like crappy society stuff that we need to unpack.
Ames, you also mentor for this community like I do. What was it that got you interested in helping out?
I do when I have the time. Yes, for me, it was probably a little bit twofold. I discovered Kate and Perth Web Girls at the time when I was starting out in tech, and it was a really great community. And so as soon as I wasn't sure I was at the point where I could help to mentor, but a whole bunch of other people told me that I was absolutely at the point to help to mentor. As soon as I was at that point, I started helping out at the workshops rather than attending them, and it was really good. For me, I think a little bit as well, I grew up in the country, and I grew up with that community vibe, that small community of everyone helping one another and being involved in all of the things. And so when I discovered the tech community in Perth and the various different groups, it was the first time I discovered something I was used to, and something that I love the support that a community can get and can give. And so, yeah, it was sort of a bit of a no-brainer for me for being a part of that.
But did you experience any of the things Kate mentioned when you were growing up? Did anyone try to steer you away from tech, or did you find any, of the traditional routes not working for you?
I didn't so much at the time. I realized in sort of the past few years I was very lucky growing up. My parents and those around me, the fact that I was a girl or a woman never mattered, whether or not I could do maths or science or technology. It was never a question of whether or not I could do something. The past few years, I've come to realize there were little bits and pieces that thankfully I was kind of oblivious to and didn't realize at the time. But as I've gotten more involved and further on in my career, I have definitely noticed that unfortunately it's not just a thing for when we're starting out in the careers. It does still continue daily. Even there are times when I feel like I'm sort of having to fight with my clients to convince them that yes, they hired me, but also the fact that I'm a woman doesn't mean like I do actually know what I'm doing. So yeah, unfortunately it is still a thing, but I think there's a lot more awareness around it. So hopefully it'll get better soon.
You also started your business when you were 21. Was it 21?
About that point, yes. Yeah, I started. I fell into web development, and yeah, it was a bit without any formal qualifications. It was really hard to apply for roles, so I just started doing freelancing on the side and built my way up from there.
Oh, I feel so old when I realise you both started doing tremendous things when you were 21, and I was still safely in university, just drinking beers and, doing philosophy, talking about the meaning of life.
I mean, we never said we weren't doing that as well.
True.
Kate, in She Codes though, there are male mentors, which I know that can be a bit of a polarizing issue. Some other communities don't allow men to teach in their female communities for fear of scaring off the girls. How have you made that work?
Yeah, so we actually made it one of our values that we're female focused but male friendly. Because for me, that there are a lot of communities that we're just about women and we're not bringing men on the journey. But I don't think we're going to make fundamental change without involving allies and having them as part of that conversation. And there's a couple of different points on that. So one, we need to teach our men how to work with women better. And one of my favorite stories is a couple of years ago, we had a one-day workshop. It was down here in the Flux basement. And we had like 15 mentors and like 100 women. And one of the guys turned to me and he was like, Kate, I feel really awkward. I feel like I'm the only man in the sea of women. Is this how you feel all the time? And I was like, yeah, all the time. And he's like, I've never, ever been a minority and I feel so uncomfortable. And for him, that was like a light bulb moment because he was like, I've heard people talk about how that feels, but until you've felt it, you can't really empathize. So teaching men how to be better, giving them the chance to be that minority. I also think that it's about teaching, setting our women up for success. So if we're keeping them in a completely all-female environment, the reality is when they go to their jobs, they can be working with a lot of guys. And I don't think that that's really going to be a realistic shift. If all of their teachers and all of their mentors have always been women, then it's just going to be a lot harder adjustment. So you may as well set them up for success. And different people learn from different kinds of teaching styles as well. So I think diversity of the way that you teach, the way that you present things, maybe, different people learn from different things. So we've made a conscious effort of bringing our male allies on the journey. We've got about 60% of our teaching team is female. The only thing that makes me a little sad is that it still typically is we have a lot of women in front end, and then when we get to back end, we have a lot more male mentors. But that's slowly changing. I think there's still a little bit of that stereotype of, you have to be creative to be in front end, and that's better suited to women or something. But that's slowly changing.
Well, I don't know. I think that what I noticed when you ask the mentors to put their hands up around the room, who's there to coach what skill, I think that Python wins. Python always wins. And Django is totally, there's one or two of them there, but also, WordPress, one or two of them there. But HTML and CSS also very big. So, I don't know. Python's not front end, it's back end-ish.
I've met a lot of the mentors, the male mentors at the She Codes events as well. And I think a lot of them, they're so determined to make this better. We want to make this better. We want the women coming in to not have to go through what we went through. And watching the male mentors, they are so determined to just make this better for everybody else, because they're realizing the differences between our experiences. And some of the men that are mentoring these events, they are the biggest cheerleaders of the students. They've just got so much excitement for, you can do this, you're amazing, let me help you get there. And I think that's really great to see as well. Equality actually means it's better for everybody.
Surprisingly.
Yes.
It is a very relaxing community, a very safe space. And I will, Amy and I, we go to a lot of international conferences together, and it's very tiring, a lot of jet lag. But we will both often come back and there's a She Codes workshop, and rather than sleeping that day, we would go and mentor the She Codes workshop, because it's not something that hurts your brain. It's a restful experience to be amongst that community, and the women and the men as well. it's just such a nice place to be, and it isn't just for the cupcakes. Honestly, it is. It is for the code. It is for the people.
The excitement and the energy that the events have, and watching these women discover tech the same way we did, and that initial excitement is so. I mean, the cupcakes are a massive bonus.
I mean, I did a computing science master's way back in the day, and we learned 7 languages over the course of that year, and we had to pass 5 of them. But I thought I was a terrible programmer. I thought I was really bad at it because we learned from books, and books tend to show you only one way to solve the problem, which was not the same way that my brain thought about things. And when, later on, when She Codes came about and Web Girls, I went to a couple of those sessions. And then when I tried to register for the 3rd one, Kate told me I was not allowed to register for the 3rd one as an attendee. I needed to come as a mentor, because it is enough. What the people in the workshop need are just people who are 1 or 2 steps ahead of them, who can still remember the problems they experienced as they went through that workshop, and can say, yeah, everyone gets that, everyone feels that, don't panic, let's just look at those instructions again and give it another go. And when you're teaching stuff, you start to learn it a lot quicker as well. People ask you questions that you hadn't considered yourself, and as you're answering them, you realise that you are becoming a better programmer by helping people to learn. So that each one teach one methodology is really one of the things that I love about it. And there's a lot of She Codes Plus ex-students, alumni, that are now mentors for She Codes workshops. Do you want to tell us a bit about what She Codes Plus is?
Yeah, so just on mentoring before we move on, I think there's this idea that people have that you have to be some kind of like legendary expert to be a mentor, and you absolutely don't, because the best person to teach is the person who just did that like 5 minutes before, and having someone relatable is the best kind of mentor. So I was at DDD Perth on the weekend, and had lots of people come up to me who are developers and like, oh, but I'm not good enough to mentor. And I'm like, yeah, you are. Like, if you can explain a concept, and if you can just patiently wait with someone and like, let's Google it together, or let's try and step through this problem. I can see there's an error message coming up on line 14. Let's go to line 14. Let's have a look at it together. Even if you can't solve the problem, even just being a rubber duck for them is like 9 times out of 10 exactly what that person needs. So yeah, for anyone listening who's like, I'm definitely not qualified to be a mentor, you totally can be. I was solving Python problems on the weekend, and I'm by no means a Python developer, so totally can do it.
Not yet a Python developer.
Yes, not yet. Working on it. But She Codes Plus, so She Codes Plus is a 6-month program that we started in 2019. And really the impetus behind creating this program is we were getting told by that point, I think we taught about 2,000 women through the one-day workshop and had the crazy demand I was talking about before. And we were talking to a bunch of corporates, and they were like, this is really great, but how do I get someone I can hire like tomorrow? Because the typical journey was people do a one-day workshop, then they take like 2 to 5 years to go through a university degree or self-teaching or some other like figuring it out, and then like 5 years later they can hire them. That's not really quick enough. How do we accelerate that process and get someone to a point that we can hire them a lot quicker? So we're having this conversation first with BHP. And they had crazy diversity targets that they were trying to hit. And when they first came to us, they were like, we're a bunch of guys sitting around a table trying to solve a diversity problem. And we realized we need to talk to some women, step one. And then we need to invest in how do we actually move that forward. So it was a conversation over a couple of years to get the program up and running. And we talked to a lot of women about what the barriers were. And the other forms of formal education are expensive. and for a lot of women, it was cost prohibitive. A lot of things are full-time, and you needed to quit your job or take extended leave or something, which for a lot of people that have confidence issues, that's really hard. Or they are designed for, students. And a lot of these women are in their 30s and they think they're too old, which you're not too old ever to do anything. But they think that they're too old to do that. So that was the kind of the landscape that existed. So what we created was 6 months part-time outside of business hours, so you could still do a job and then come to class in the evenings. And we really flipped the model of how do we get our businesses to pay for the education in a talent creation pipeline. So our model is what we call a one-for-one. We work with businesses to put their own people through the program as a professional development upskilling thing, so they can slide on into the tech team post-program. And for every person that they pay for an internal, pays for someone from the community, so they get a recruitment pipeline into the business. So really making it like it's a HR, training, recruitment, tangible outcomes, but also has all of this like amazing marketing benefits, community benefits, building up the whole ecosystem at the same time. So we're on our 10th cohort right now. We've done a bunch in Perth. We've done 4 in Brisbane. They're just about to finish in the next couple of weeks. And we did one in Sydney as well. So we've got about 200 women who've finished that program, and 86% of them are in technical roles now, which is like so cool when you look at, the rates of people coming through other forms of education. The success rate isn't normally that high. 86% is pretty massive. And that 14%, it's typically because they've, decided that they wanted to be somewhere else, not that they're still looking for work. Yeah, it's been really, really cool to be part of that journey. And like Michelle was just saying before, like a bunch of them have come back as mentors and teachers. So Maria and Sophie have come back as lead mentors and taught the next cohort of people. We've got Belle in Brisbane right now, who's teaching the final project for the group, and she only finished the program a couple of years ago. So seeing that journey, seeing them thrive, and a couple of them have shaken off the junior title. They're now associate devs, they're software developers, they're like killing it. They've been nominated for awards. One I was just found out the other day is about to be promoted to engineering manager. And it's like, yeah, in such a short amount of time. Very cool.
Yeah, we have alumni working at Microsoft. She came in via one of our child companies called Clipchamp, but she is a Microsoft person now working in a developer role, which is really cool. What was not cool was she came in without any of my help at all, so I didn't get any payment. She just applied and got the job. That talented. So really what you're saying is, if there are companies out there that have a diversity problem, they don't have enough women in their tech teams and they want them, there is an active, viable route. They just need to put their money where their mouths are and invest in She-Codes.
Yeah, 100%. I'm happy to chat to anyone. I definitely don't want this to be a sales pitch, but yeah, happy to chat to companies. Because I do think that, yeah, there's a lot of people that complain about the problem, and there's less that are doing something about it. And it's really evident when companies are willing to invest and actually solve the problem, and also get really good talent as well, because these women are like so epic. I'm definitely biased, but they're so epic. They really are.
Before we move on to Amy's segment, why don't you show us some of the work that your women have done?
Yeah. So we're in HTML/CSS at the moment. So they work on a bunch of different projects over the course of the 6 months. And I've got a few that I prepared earlier of some of the things that our alumni have done. These projects they built really quickly. So most of them are built in like 3 weeks, having no background in HTML, CSS before, which is pretty incredible when you're looking at people coming from nothing. A few of them have edited it. This is version like 2 or 3, but we've got Maria's beautiful blue and pink one. We have Sue. It's a little bit more streamlined. We've also got, I love Izzy and her font that she's picked here, which types out different words. Meet Izzy. And her little emojis. I've got Yessie, who's gone a little bit more corporate, looking at small businesses. And she's got the beautiful hamburger menu, which is always something on Slack in the first few weeks of the program. They're all trying to figure out desperately how to make their hamburger menu work on mobile. I feel like every cohort, there's something about a hamburger menu. And then Jessica, I'm really proud of. She's actually mentoring this batch of girls. So she only finished the program earlier this year, and now she's come back to mentor in HTML, CSS, which, like we were saying before, I think it's really cool. People who they're only one step ahead and come back and mentoring. She's just started at BHP at the end of the program. And I've got Kay as well. A little bit of a different format, still going with these boxes with a little hover.
Yeah, I was just saying to a bunch of university students last week, they're computer science students, and I asked how many of them had a portfolio website, and there were only about 2 of them in the room that did, because making a portfolio website is not the first thing you learn at university. In fact, it might not ever be a thing that you learn at university. They're doing systems analysis, doing project stuff, learning different languages, but making a portfolio website is super practical for highlighting yourself and jump-starting your career. So I think it's really cool that is a key component of the program that they can learn.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, we literally just had at DDD on the weekend, I do believe our keynote speaker said that if you want to be visible and do really well in your career, you need to have a website. You need somewhere people can find you on the internet.
She absolutely did. That's right. So, good segue, Amy. Let's talk about DDD, the largest developer conference in the country. Tell me about that. Tell me about the conference. Tell me about your involvement in it.
We had over 1,400 people tuning into the conference, either in person at the stadium or we had a whole bunch of people joining in remotely online as well.
It felt like they were all there, Amy. That looked like a room of 1,004 at least. It just went on forever.
Insane. Yeah, insane.
Yeah.
I was there too. And like so many people. It was a bit overwhelming.
It was, and it was also really interesting for us a little bit because new venue, new vibes. Because we were in the stadium, and so 2 of our rooms were partially outdoors and open to everything, and that was. I won't say there weren't a couple of things that would definitely be brought up at the retro for improvements next year, but there was a really interesting vibe, and especially for some of those people who can get overwhelmed in large crowds, we really liked the ability to be partially outdoors, which helps to take that away a little bit, or even the opportunity to just you could go and sit down in the seats and just look out at this open, empty stadium. And just relax a little bit. So yeah, this was DDD's 9th year running. It actually started not far away from where we were on Saturday, so still on the banks of the Derbyl Yarragon River. And it's really amazing to see how far it's come. So I've been involved with DDD Perth since I think 2018. I attended in 2017. That was my first time there, and it has just continued to grow each year, which is really amazing to see. So,
well, practically doubles in size each year. So I remember, I think the first one I went to was 2016, and Lars Klint did the lock note on that, a lock note that had grown developers in tears. It was and that was so surprising to me, that you'd be at a technical developer conference, but someone would be giving a lock note that wasn't about code, that was about people, and that developers would be interested in that, but also moved by it. And at the end, people were sort of like standing in groups and hugging each other and sharing their stories. And I think that that's one of the things that I've loved about DDD from that moment. So there were 50 people in the room that year, and every year it's doubled in size. I don't think you can do that again next year. But that that inclusiveness, could you tell us a little bit more about what DDD is trying to achieve for the developer community?
Yes, so so that comes right back to our values, and I suppose I probably also want to say this isn't for the developer community as well. So DDD is we're for the tech industry, but it's not just developers that we have. So we have people, we have developers, we have designers, data experts, security experts. We've got project and product managers, we've got team leaders, we've got people. If you are working in a role or a company that is anyway tech adjacent, there is probably something for you at DDD, which that does kind of present some challenges from a content perspective and making sure there's something for everyone, but it's also really great to then have something for everyone. So our values, we try and make sure that it's then easy for everyone to get there. So that means it's affordable. So the tickets are $60, which $60 in Perth, you get morning tea, afternoon tea, lunch, and there is free-flowing coffee all day. If you cannot make your $60 back from that, you are not trying hard enough. We also then have financial assistance tickets, which a whole bunch of companies donate, or we actually have individuals that do it. So we have people who will purchase one ticket and then pay for a financial assistance ticket. Or most of the time when people get in touch, they go, hey, I can't go anymore, but I don't want my money back. Can we just give it to someone else? So that's really great to see that support from the community. We also run on Saturdays, so people don't have to take time off work. We make sure that all of our venues are accessible, both in getting to it in modes of transport, so the parking, public transport, but then no matter how you get around, the venue is fully accessible so that you can go anywhere and be anywhere and take part in the event. And it comes down to all sorts of little bits and pieces that we do as well. We then have, so there is a quiet zone if you just need a bit of a break to step away, sit somewhere quiet, and not be surrounded by people. We had space available for that. We have free childcare available as well. So that has completely booked out. Every year we've done it, which I think we've done that every year since about 2019. We've had the free childcare available, and that just means that because we're on the weekend, you don't have to worry about finding something for your kids. You bring them along. They have so much fun at childcare. One of the attendees his daughter's been in childcare basically since we started offering it. And I'm pretty sure she is so cute. I saw her, she was like running 20 meters ahead of her dad, being like, bye, this is my thing. This is my conference. I'm going, see ya, go and do your thing, which is really great. And then the past couple of years, thanks to the Kate and wonderful She Codes, we've also had a coding workshop available for the older kids. So 12 to 18-year-olds. We've had groups of them. They join us for our keynote presentations. and then the rest of the day they have been learning how to code, which is, it's really, really amazing. And it's, well, I suppose I'm a little bit biased, but I do believe it is a really amazing tech conference, although the internet is currently still backing me up on that one. Everyone has said it's amazing, and especially since, the previous years, the fact that we were so much bigger this year, some people who've missed out on tickets in previous years because we sold out so quickly, they're all just saying it's so good. There's people they've seen that they worked with 5 years ago and they haven't seen in so long, and getting to see these people and talk and then hear from the amazing presenters. It's really good to after all of the work and the sleepless nights, to get all that positive feedback from people who've said that we've done a good job is really nice.
And something for everyone as well, as you said. I had a few students helping on the Microsoft stand, and obviously I told them they needed to go off and see some of the sessions and enjoy the conference as well, get a feel for it. And they were blown away. They were so excited at the end of the day. And I told them they needed to get pictures with people, and they were showing me, they got pictures with the keynotes, they got pictures with various speakers, and they were just like, it's as if they had gone to a Taylor Swift concert.
Slightly easier to get tickets, but
a little bit.
Only this year.
Yes. And it is, there's so much. We get a lot of, we often get so many non-technical, your core skills talks as well, and that's little bits for everybody. And even this year, our second keynote speaker, he talked about space. And I don't know anyone that doesn't think that space isn't cool at all. I know there are definitely some people who think that space is way more awesome than everybody else. Some people are very interested in space, but it was really interesting just to see what was going on. And it's, again, biased, but I think it's a pretty amazing event for the community.
I think my favorite thing about DDD is, no one feels stupid. I've never felt stupid there before. It's very junior friendly as well. So we brought a bunch of my girls. They had class on Saturday morning, but they came after class to the conference, and I got some good feedback from them this morning. They were like, oh, it's so good to meet people. I heard a lot of people, like you were saying, that's their annual time that they catch up. They're like, oh, I see all of my other tech friends at DDD, and then I won't see them again until next year. I've got a photo that I take every year with one of the sponsors. It's the same sponsor rep at the same sponsor stand every year, and it's like 3 years of the two of us in a picture together, which is quite funny. But it's really inclusive. And I think the other thing that I love about DDD Perth is, like, we are so much bigger than everywhere else in the country, which is pretty impressive. I heard some people who were from interstate on the weekend, like, I didn't know that there was 1,400 people in Perth that would come to an event like this. And like, how are we the biggest one in the country? I'm like, well, we actually do make stuff happen here in Western Australia.
And continuous improvement on it. But I think the comment I heard was, I didn't know there were 1,400 people in Western Australia. Full stop.
Well, I think someone asked me, they said, why is this so big? I mean, this is the biggest tech conference in Australia. And why is this so big? I think it comes back to, one, I would like to think that it's because the community is so good in Perth. I love the vibes I get from Perth, that I can go to the supermarket and there is a good 70% chance that I will run into somebody I know from the tech community. Like that is just what happens. The community is so nice, and there's a lot of support from it. But also, I think because we don't get a lot of the other bigger conferences that come to Perth, but also for us to go to things is so expensive. So most other conferences, the tickets, you're talking hundreds or thousands of dollars. Plus from Perth, look, if you're lucky, you might get return flights for $500, but again, you're probably looking at another $1,000 for that. You've then got your accommodation on top of that, travel time. If you've got kids or other things going on, that then throws an extra spanner in the works. So to have something that is affordable, that is a 15-minute bus ride from where you are, and something where even you can bring the kids along for the day, and they're there being looked after, and then you can pick them up. And I mean, this year we even finished up just after 4 p.m, so there was time to mingle, have a chat with some people, have a drink, grab your kids, and go and walk along the river for sunset. I think we've put a lot of work into crafting the right event for what Perth needs, and we've got that support that shows why it is so big.
Yeah, I guess what I'm hearing from both of those stories is that we have learned that community is such an important part of helping developers, well, and the tech community as a whole, grow as individuals and as a community. That if we support each other, that if we do things together, that if we are inclusive, that we learn and grow together, everything is better for everyone. So yeah, it's awesome stuff that we're doing over there. But those are not the only conferences I see you at, Amy. When I first knew you, you were an evangelist for YOW, and some of those are coming up before end of this year. That's a different kind of conference, right? What can developers learn from that kind of conference that is different to what they learn at DDD?
Yeah, it's definitely a different conference. It's definitely a lot more developer, and in my experience, definitely more towards the back end, architecture, security type areas or data. So it definitely has different vibes, and there's not YOW. DDD, we try and have something for everyone, whereas YOW, they know their target market, they know where it is they're focusing on. So it's definitely a different, much smaller content funnel. So you've got different topics going on there. It does definitely have different vibes as well. So it's generally people who work at larger companies who purchase tickets, and they come along for the couple of days and do it there.
Yeah, the companies buy the tickets for them.
Yeah, we focus more on having a fun, inclusive experience for everyone. Not that YOW isn't an inclusive experience. They've focused a lot more on the content, whereas we put a lot of focus on, it's not just the content that you get, it's a lot of the networking you do as well, and giving that opportunity to meet other people in your community. Whereas YOW put a lot of focus on the speakers and the content. So they bring a lot of really amazing speakers and presenters from all over the world to Australia. They bring them over for us. And what we had YOW Perth was, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, but it could be anywhere up to 3 months ago. In the not too distant past, YOW was in Perth. And we had a lot of those amazing speakers and presenters came along, and that was really good. And yeah, it's similar vibes in the Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney conferences as well. And I've, again, biased. I love DDD, and I love the conference that we build. But I also really loved that conferences like YOW. They bring these amazing people to Australia, which we're a long way away from everything. And so it's really exciting to have these people come to us rather than us having to go to them.
Yeah, well, Lars Clint, who has done an episode of New Breakpoint with us, was a speaker at DDD, and he was also a speaker at YOW Perth. I think he might be doing the East Coast ones as well.
He absolutely has in the past. I think that's one of the things that I find really interesting with DDD Perth as well is we've talked about the local support, but we've kind of in the past years become a little bit infamous with the rest of the Australian tech community. So good handful of our presenters were people who from the other side of the country have submitted. We don't have the budget to cover their travel and accommodation, and they're aware of it. So we have people who will submit, and quite a few of them out of their own pocket will fly to Perth to come and speak at DDD Perth. So it's really great to see us get that kind of a reputation with the speakers, that we've got that support, and that the audience is really good to be a part of as well.
Yeah, I love that they are really like they don't care. Well, obviously they'd love it if they could get their expenses, but they know it's a community conference. They submit anyway, and we make it happen. So like I had someone crashing in my house for 2 nights who'd flown over from over east, and I think I wasn't the only one. So it like comfort is abandoned and money is abandoned, and it's all about, no matter what, we're going to get there and be together, because that community, that is what we're all in it for, helping each other grow and connect together.
Yeah, it is. And that's definitely, because Perth is a lot bigger than the others, I think we have a much more obvious one, but we're not the only DDD in the country. So we have in November, we've got Adelaide coming back. They've just released their agenda. I spoke there in 2019, and there were like 4 of us that flew over from Perth. So we all went to support Adelaide starting out. We've got Brisbane happening at the start of December as well, which I'm really excited about, because I kind of knew when they would be running and they hadn't committed yet, and I booked my flights anyway. So I'm really glad they have done it, because I just went, well, I'm not going to miss out. I'm going to book my flights now. And we've got Melbourne. Melbourne's had a bit of a break, and they're back in March next year. And they all have the same vibes that we get from Perth. There's a lot of support, and the accessibility and inclusivity and openness from their events, but they're really amazing experiences. And so although it's really accessible and easy for the locals to come and to present and to attend, there'll still be a good handful of people who've come from interstate, or we even get some people who come from overseas to take part in one of our Australian DDD events, because we've all the separate committees, we've done an amazing job in building up these events.
Well, I definitely have submitted to those East Coast ones as well, even though I know they're not as big, even though I know that we don't get any expenses. If I get in, I'm going. I will make it happen, because and even if I don't get in as a speaker, I will still try and go, because all the DDDs are cool. It's a great community experience. Now, I do need to wrap up, but before I do want to just give a quick shout out to NDC conferences as well, because Amy and I speak at a lot of those, and we love that environment as well. Can you, in one sentence, sort of summarise what's good about NDC?
So NDC conferences, they're tending more towards the Yow end. Your people have come with the company, but they have a very broad range of topics as well, similar to DDD. So I think the NDC is sort of a combination of the two. You've got the big lineup of speakers from all over the world, but they've got a good portion of the community stuff going as well. And I know they generally run a few community events around their conferences too, to give an opportunity for those international speakers who've come in to go and speak at a few of the meetup events, and for the rest of the community to see them as well.
Awesome. Well, on that note, I do want to thank you both for joining us in this episode. There's so much content that we've gone through here, and I'm sure we could have carried on talking all day. I hope that you will stay for 10 or 15 minutes after this episode to just answer questions in chat. And yeah, I want to thank you, the audience, for joining us. Do register on the site for any upcoming episodes or ones that you've missed. You can also find them on our YouTube channel, and we also put our resources up on GitHub. See you next time.
We hope you enjoyed this digital event. We have specialists on standby to answer your questions for a short while. To ask a question, type it into the chat window now and we'll get to it as quickly as we can. You'll also find a resources widget in the bottom middle of your screen. We've put additional links in there to learn more about what we've covered today. Lastly, tell us how you found this experience through the survey widget. If you're not staying for the Q&A, thank you for attending and we hope to see you again soon. We hope you enjoyed this digital event. Thank you for attending, and we hope to see you again soon.